It was a crisp Tuesday morning when I stepped onto my front porch, clutching my coffee mug, ready to bask in the glory of my rose garden. For 3 years, I'd poured my heart into those Bloom's Heritage varieties in rich scarlet and delicate blush that had earned whispers of admiration in our Willow Creek neighborhood. But that morning, my heart sank before I could even take a sip. My roses, my pride and joy, were buried under a mountain of filth. Coffee grounds, rotting banana peels, soggy cardboard, and what smelled like last week's meatloaf were strewn across my carefully mulched beds. The stench hit me like a punch-rotten, sour, and unforgiving. I stood there, frozen, my mug trembling in my hand. This wasn't some prank by bored teenagers. The garbage had been scattered with purpose, almost surgically, crushing my prize-winning Crimson Glory roses under heaps of kitchen waste. I glanced around, noticing curtains twitching in nearby windows. Neighbors were watching, but nobody dared step outside. "What the hell?" I muttered, setting my coffee down and wading into the mess. As I knelt to inspect the damage, something caught my eye among the debris. A familiar yellow citation slip, the kind Margaret Hayes, our HOA president, had been stuffing in my mailbox for weeks. I'd always been a model resident of Willow Creek. My lawn was pristine, my house painted in the approved taupe, and I never left Christmas lights up past December 31st. But there was one tiny thing that drove Margaret absolutely feral. Sometimes I didn't drag my trash bins back inside within her ridiculous 30-minute window after pickup. As a hospital administrator, my days were long, and I'd occasionally get home after dark, hauling the bins in as soon as I could. To Margaret, this was a capital offense. First came her friendly notes, then official citations with HOA bylaws highlighted in neon yellow. Last week, she'd ambushed me at the mailboxes, lecturing me about community pride and how my sloppiness was tanking property values. But this? Trashing my rose garden? This was war. Fuming, I pulled out my phone and opened my security app. After some petty vandalism hit the neighborhood last summer, I'd installed a doorbell camera and a separate one for the garden. My fingers shook as I scrolled through the footage. And there she was, Margaret Hayes, 54, HOA tyrant for 7 straight terms, and apparently a moonlight garbage bandit. At 2:13 a.m., the VY Deo showed her dragging trash bags across my lawn, her face twisted in smug satisfaction. "This'll teach him to respect the rules," she hissed, dumping coffee grounds onto my beloved Lady Banks rose. 30 minutes means 30 minutes. She even brought a rake to spread the mess, ensuring every inch of my garden suffered. My blood boiled. This wasn't just vandalism, it was personal. I snapped photos of the carnage and emailed the HOA board with the VY Deo attached, filing a formal complaint. Their reply came that afternoon, a lukewarm note saying they'd re-VYEW the matter, but that landscaping issues were my problem. My problem? This wasn't about untrimmed hedges. This was destruction of property. The next day, I ran into Margaret at the community center. She had the gall to smirk, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Trouble with your roses, Tom?" she cooed, her eyes glinting with malice. A few neighbors overheard, but they all suddenly found their shoes fascinating. Margaret had a reputation for crushing anyone who crossed her. That evening, as I raked the last of the garbage from my ruined beds, my neighbor Sarah edged over, glancing nervously at Margaret's house across the street. "I saw what she did," she whispered. "It's not right, and you're not the only one." Sarah confessed that after she left her Halloween decorations up a day past the deadline, her car ended up with mysterious scratches. Another neighbor, who'd questioned Margaret's push for higher HOA fees, found dog crap on his porch every morning for a week. "We've all been too scared to speak up," Sarah admitted. "She's got buddies on the city council, and her cousin's a cop. But I'm done. I'll back you if you push this." With Sarah's support and my footage, I called the police the next morning. The officer was skeptical until he saw the VY Deo. "That's blatant," he said, eyebrows shooting up as Margaret raked trash over my roses. "Criminal mischief, maybe trespassing. Get statements from others if you can." Word spread fast through our neighborhood group chat. By nightfall, 8 residents came forward with stories of Margaret's vengeance. One had footage of her smashing their custom mailbox after they missed a lawn mowing deadline. Another caught her on a dash cam, keying their car for parking slightly over the line. All petty crimes, all met with unhinged retaliation. The real bombshell dropped 2 nights later. My garden camera caught Margaret sneaking back at 1:15 a.m., this time with a greasy bag from Lucky Walk. The footage showed her scattering lo mein and orange chicken through my freshly cleaned beds, stepping back to admire her work with a nod. She didn't see the camera's red lighter that I was watching live, already dialing 911. Police rolled up minutes later, their spotlight catching her mid-act, fried rice still in hand. The look on her face pure, deer-in-headlights panic was something I'll savor forever. "This is HOA business," she shrieked as they approached. "I'm upholding standards." But the officers weren't buying it, especially when they found her little black book packed with names of offenders and her planned punishments. As they cuffed her, neighbors started stepping outside, watching silently. The fear Margaret had weaponized was crumbling. "You'll pay for this, Tom," she spat as they loaded her into the cruiser. "Do you know who I am in this neighborhood?" Turns out, she wasn't as untouchable as she thought. The DA hit her with charges of criminal mischief, vandalism, trespassing, and harassment. Between my VY Deos, neighbor testimonies, and her own damning notebook, the EVY Denke was ironclad. At her arraignment, she doubled down, claiming she was enforcing standards in the only way people listen. The judge wasn't impressed. 3 weeks later, I sat in the courtroom as her sentence came down. Margaret had to pay due $5,000 for my roses and other damages, plus court fees. She got 2 years of probation, 100 hours of community, SARE, VY ironically, in public gardens, and a 10-year ban from any HOA or community board. A restraining order barred her from coming near my property. As the gavel fell, her composure shattered. "I've run this place for 12 years, she stammered, voice cracking. "Who's going to keep this community in line?" The judge leaned forward, voice dry as dust. "Someone who knows the difference between leadership and petty tyranny, Ms. Hayes." Margaret's jaw dropped, and for the first time, she had nothing to say. As I walked out of the courthouse, the weight of her reign lifted. My roses would take years to recover, but Willow Creek was already healing. Neighbors started speaking up, sharing stories, even laughing about Margaret's downfall. Her little empire of fear was gone, and I'd helped topple it. But as I replanted my garden, I couldn't help wondering, how many other Margarets are out there, hiding behind clipboards and bylaws, waiting to snap? What do you think? Did Margaret deserve her punishment? Or was she just a control freak pushed too far? Have you ever dealt with an HOA tyrant like her? Drop your stories below, and if this tale of backyard justice hooked you, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's hear your take. What's the pettiest thing an HOA's ever done to you?